What's up? I'll try to make this as quick as possible. So, this is my Toon deck. The first card I'll show you is Scrap Iron Scarecrow. Good for protecting your ass. But it pretty much, oh look, activate once per, well, not once per turn, but activate when your opponent's monster declares an attack. And it doesn't really say once per turn. Dust Tornado, good for destroying cards, but it's one of two cards that are pretty much useful to destroy cards in this deck. The other is Mystical Space Typhon, but that's later. Now, Ultimate Offering. And I don't know if this is the newer one or the old one, but it says, oh, pay 500 life points to allow me to normal summon or set, but I'll verify that. Now, Toon Defense. If a level 4 or a lower monster that's a Toon, make that into a direct attack. But there's a card that would be useful somewhat. Now, and two of the Toon defenses. Now, Sasuke's Armor. Good to protect your ass if any of your opponent's monsters are stronger than one of the monsters on your field. Now, good for this kind of deck somewhat. Now, Wubuku, or however you say. This is what I was trying to say here earlier with Toon Defense. Well, there's Hollow Life Barrier that if I discard a card during, well, that's only from my hand during any damage from your opponent becomes 0. Now this one, Gift of the Mystical Elf, good for regain any life points if you need to. Good for if your opponent has a bunch of face down defense monsters and you have all face up, but a grand total of 3,000 if you ever get that chance, and good to recover from life points you've lost from any of the cards. Trying to think of a card that could be useful to put in this deck now. Monster Reborn, banned, I believe. And if I forgot to mention, this is a traditional deck. Don't really care. If need to fix, I'll try to. Now, Diane Kento, the Cure Master, would be perfect if, oh look, have this in your hand, have Toon World, oh look, play Toon World, pay 1,000, oh look, gain that 1,000. Not really pointless if you think about it, unless you're down to 1,000, then use that, then Toon World. Next card, 2 copies of Toon World. Kind of a set around this somewhat, but kind of a no-brainer. Now, Fissure would be the perfect card if your opponent has any high-level monsters too. Meaning, oh look, Destroy one face-up monster that your opponent controls that has the lowest attack. Doesn't specify. Now, Mystical Space Typhoon. Earlier I said it was one of two with that Typhoon. Perfect to destroy cards, but with the trap, you have to wait a turn or activate during your opponent's turn. Now, this is a good card to have in my belief. Jam Breeding Machine. Continuous spell, and during each of my standby phases, special summon one slime token. Good. An attack sucks, and as long as it remains face up, well, kind of a setback, but I'll make sure to update the card listing. But now, Cager Coliseum. Perfect for having, well, I suggest to have a monster, because not really sure if the slime tokens would be considered monsters or anything, but this would be perfect to at least have one of the Toons out. Oh look, have Toon Gemini Elves. Oh look, play that. Because it only works with your monsters on your side of the field. From there on till it's destroyed, or something like that, your opponent cannot summon shit. Special summon nothing. Now, Mage Power. Good for equipping to monsters that don't have that much attack or defense or shit like that. I believe this is one of the newer versions of it that only spell and traps you control, the monster gains 500 attack and defense. Now, Snatch and Steal. Banned. Wished it wasn't, or it limited, but don't give a rat's ass. Now, good for taking high level monsters if your opponent has, or taking a monster you could definitely use to sacrifice for higher level monsters. Now, this one I personally think could. Now, Dragon's Gunfire works with dragons. Kind of duh. But see, just use the first effect. Inflict 800 points of damage to your opponent, because I don't believe they'll have a monster that's face up with a defense of 800. Now on to the monsters. Mega Ryaran. Can't be summoned unless Toon rolls on the field. Pay 500 for an attack, but if your opponent doesn't have any Toons, oh guess what? Direct attack on their ass. But the only backfire is when Toon rolls destroyed. He's destroyed with any other Toons. Now this one, Toon Dark Magician Girl. it can't be normal summoned or set. This card can only be special summoned while Toon rolled on the field. You can special summon from your hand, but tributes are required. Kind of dumb. If you're gonna special summon it. But no tribute. A level 5 or more Toon. Well, it says tribute a level 5 or more. That's why I say have more copies of any high level monsters. Now, not sure if there's a third one that I might have put somewhere too, but Toon attack or Toon Goblin Attack Force. Now, when Toon rolls on the field is destroyed, this is also, but it doesn't require Toon roll to be on the field. But sucks when, oh look, you have it's destroyed when it's destroyed. Sucks. But 2 copies of him. Same effects as the normal ones. Now, 2 copies of Blue Eyes Toon Dragon needs Toon rolled. Same thing. And same with all the other Toon monsters that I've said before. Now, 2 of the Blue Eyes, 2 of Toon Summon Skull, same thing, need Toon roll on the field. And unless your opponent has a Toon, attack directly, pay 500. I'm still waiting on a friend to text me back and whatnot. Now, this one doesn't need Toon rolled but gets destroyed when Toon rolled is summoned. And see, when this card inflicts battle damage, you draw 1 card, 3 copies of it, if I didn't mention it before. Now, 3 copies of Toon Gemini Elf. I know I might have mentioned it earlier, maybe not sure. Doesn't need Toon rolled, but, you know, gets destroyed when Toon rolled does. But when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, they randomly discard 1 card. Now, Toon Cannon Soldier. Again, don't need Toon roll, destroy, blah. Does the same exact thing as the Cannon Soldier. Sacrifice a monster. Your opponent loses 500. 3 copies of that. Now, Toon Mermaid. 3 copies. Needs Toon rolled. It's not an effect monster like everything else. Kind of sucks. But I might need to improve it and such, but not sure if there's a card out there that protects this whole deck, but who gives a rat's ass? And, you know, but if there's anything needed and needs to be corrected, now that's my Toon deck. But don't add any freaking shit like Dark Resonator or anything, so